I'm working on a like estuary restoration at like at home in the estuary of the Cowichan. We're reintroducing like traditional like foods on the land, and a lot of individuals ask me, when will it be ready? And I say, maybe like 30 years. What, 30 years before I can eat that food? And I said, oh, I know, that's it. Isn't that great? And they look at me, and the organization that's actually the ones leading the work, they want to make like 5-year like plans. And I'm like, why not a 5 like generation like plan? And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, okay, the young ones I'm like raising, he wears the like name I wear as his name. When I leave this world, when he walks into a room, everybody knows who he is already. Everybody go, oh, you're Qwustenuxun. I knew your dad. This is how he was. You should actually blah 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 this and that, because I'll show you were always there with him, and he'll have answers, whether he likes it or not. He'll have answers, and so we're just readying those who are after us. We're leapfrogging through like time. I was asked once at a gathering, huge. There's like like all these people, like in the audience, and I was advocating to utilize like First Nations like foods in hospitals and like restaurants and everything. And this like one individual, he looked upset, and he like rose up and he said, okay, if we wanted to use it in all restaurants, all hospitals, everywhere, when would it be ready? I kind of looked at him and I said, okay, well, hold on, let's like flip it. I said, okay, the Western agricultural food system has had access to 100% of the land in Canada for 100 years, and they've had access to 100% of the technology for 100 years, and they can only feed 35% of us. And us 100% of the land, 100% of the technology for 100 years, and we will like feed 100% of all of Canada. He really didn't like that answer, but the reality is that we only reached where we are with the resources that we had because we removed the individuals from the land and just went in and used, right? It was all easy and free, but we never looked at what was here unless it was able to help us. And I never knew why it ended. What do I mean? Most of what we eat is from the Americas, and we don't even realize it. Like the potato, the tomato, the corn, right? Squash, like zucchinis. All these things are from the Americas, from indigenous agricultural like systems. Halfway across, for some strange reason, they stopped utilizing what was here. But look what happened with what was here. Where would the world, like, how would we exist without corn? It's in everything we eat. If we didn't have it, how many of us would be hungry? What about the other foods like camas or clam gardens? Like, what if we like adapted what was here, right? What if we advanced what exists? What if we used the like knowledge of all of the ancestors that were here, but all the ancestors that we have like with us from all around the world, we all just worked as one to unify and utilize what was here, as opposed to acting like we know best. I used a line on my way down here called Western like food supremacy. The Western world loves to act like it's the only way to eat. I went to culinary arts. I live here. I had to learn French food. Assume, well, okay, we live in a very colonized, like land. Okay, maybe we have to learn French. I have a really good like friend who was raised in Thailand, and over there in order to get his like red seal as like a chef, what did he have to learn? French cuisine. He's from Thailand. Like, they're not French, right? It's just, and it's this like idea that there's one right way, but we need to like remove that and ask, like, what is the right way? What is another right way? Like, I like to eat chicken. Obviously, like, not everybody does, but a lot of us eat chicken. Where is chicken from? The original like chickens were from Africa or like Asia, and then they were moved into Europe and they were hybridized, and then they were moved over to the US and they were hybridized into what we have now, which I don't even know if they're technically like chickens anymore. They're just these like meat animals, but this is not their environment. So what do we have to do to raise them? We have to have a controlled environment. We spend millions and millions and millions on designing a controlled environment with a controlled food system to create these like animals who are not happy, who are not really supposed to exist, so we can eat them. What are the add-on effects? Antibiotic like resistance, wastewater, agricultural like runoff, greenhouse gases from all of the like having like to heat these areas and having to feed these animals. Imagine a world where we could reinvest all of that energy and resources into like something like salmon. Imagine if we invested in raising the salmon in like the rivers, so they would be healthier and happier, so we could have lots of them to eat. What if we looked at regenerating them so that we could eat all of them without having to like worry about like all this loss? What are the add-on effects of that? Healthier watersheds, healthier water, healthier environment, not heavily like GMO'd, right? There's no antibiotic like resistance. When we work to regenerate indigenous like foods, we're not just regenerating what we eat, we're literally regenerating the land we're on, and without realizing it, we're regenerating ourselves. We act like we're not the land. It's absolutely like wild. Everybody here has an aspect of the land within them. We eat. Where is food from? The earth. It like absorbs like nutrients from the earth and the water. We eat it, and we act like we're not linked to the land. I'm just up here on it. No, you're just the land walking on land. What happens to the land happens to us. And when we realize that, all those ancestors will just like they will recognize that we realize who we are, because like for thousands of years, all our ancestors from around the world realized that. It's not only here, right? I'm not here to say it's only, like First Nations, colonial like nations, like the English and the Irish and, the Welsh and the like the French and the Italians and, like Germans and everybody. Hundreds of years ago, let's argue, like 300 to like 500 years ago, everybody who lived in those lands had lived there for generations. They had lived in one spot for 1,000 years. They knew their land, they knew their ocean, they knew their like river, they knew their own like language that exactly like here, like wove them into the land. They knew everything I like know about here. They knew about their homelands. They were like ripped from those lands, and now they're all around the world. They're lost. No wonder we don't realize how we're linked to the land, right? It's that realization that when we heal this land, we're going to start healing ourselves and all of those ancestors like along, like with us. So wanted to like share the like remembrance song to like honor those like ancestors, everybody's ancestors.
Oh